Well, I'm so excited you're here to talk about your experience in Permission to Be last summer.
Hmm.
But why don't you share a little bit more with the audience who you are and what you do?
Okay. It's a great time to practice.
Yeah.
So, I'm Laura Shea, and I am the founder and CEO of Little Stories That Stick, and I support educators, organizations, and caregivers on giving them tools to support children in early literacy through storytelling, story acting, and play, and really taking the research and breaking it down and making it really digestible and giving actionable things that people can walk away with to use. And I am a homeschooling mama of two. So
We are.
I was a former teacher and I left
Yep.
teaching in 2003, so almost 2 years ago now, and have
2023.
been
Not
2023,
two,
yeah.
not
What did I say?
2003.
Oh my gosh,
2003. I was like, holy
2003, I was
cow.
just graduating high school. Yeah. So I've been on this journey for about 4 years now, and just really diving into it the last like year. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's
All
me.
right. I love it. So really like you are bridging the gap between literacy or research, which can be so overwhelming for people, and apply applying it to the real world. Oh, we lost you. We lost your sound. I can't hear you. Oh, you're back.
My limit for Instagram came up. I should have
Your,
turned that.
your limit?
I set on my phone so I don't go on
Oh,
Instagram
your
too
own
much.
personal limit. I was like, oh, I've never heard. Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, that's so fun. I love that boundary for you.
Isn't that
Oh,
good? Is that
we're
good?
gonna talk about that. I love that. Okay. So really you're bridging the gap between I keep saying literacy,
Yes.
research, which can be really overwhelming for people that don't have experience with research,
Yes.
reading it, unpacking it, understanding it, and then how to apply that in the real world.
Yes.
Love that. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. So before we go in any deeper, let's shake it up a little. Tell
Okay.
us something that people wouldn't expect about you. Tell us something fun and exciting. Let's have some fun today.
Uh, Something that people wouldn't expect about me. I mean, I, I'm like a die-hard Nelly, and as of like 8 years ago, Fetty Wap, like lover, like trap music, like yeah. I
I
mean, I
have
love a
known
lot.
you for over a year and I did not expect
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Like
I
I grew up
love
on Nelly, and when I heard Fetty Wap one day, I was like, and when I met my now husband, that was like it. That was like the only music I played. I would like just bust out in lyrics all the time. And so now when like I'm in a mood, sometimes he'll go put on a song and I'm like, don't even try.
that.
Yeah.
I learned something new about Laura Shea today. I love it. I love it. Okay, let's do some storytelling for everyone today.
Okay.
Let's wind it back a
Hmm.
year and take everyone a little bit through the beginning of your journey with our work together.
Hmm.
So we met in person for the first time, really, and in general,
Yeah.
where?
So we met at your retreat that you co-hosted with Aid of Nature Play All Day. The was it Permission to Play?
Permission to Play retreat.
Permission
Yeah, it
to
was
Play
June.
retreat, which was it in May? It
It was June of
was June.
2024.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. But even so, you had been on my radar a couple months prior to that because as Aid was promoting it,
Yeah.
I was like, who's this chick?
Who's this
And I
lady?
actually, yep, signed up for one of your playful coaching calls
Yes.
and then was meant to have it that with you that day and was like in
Yes.
a really bad
I remember.
place.
Oh
Like,
my gosh, I forgot about that.
yeah, like was
Yeah.
really bad. And text
Yeah.
Aiden was like, I can't meet this woman that I've never like I can't stop crying. Like I am not, I can't. And
Mm.
she's like, she'll totally understand. I had to cancel mine with her last week. Like just let her know and it will be fine. Like obviously now in hindsight, I'm like, oh my God, was no better place I should have been than on that call.
Sure.
But
But
there was no
and
way
it's
I could have
okay
known that.
too.
There was no way
Yeah.
I could have known that. Um, so so I met you at the
Mhm.
retreat and shared a little bit about kind of, I was like on this teeter-totter of like I really wanted to be putting more into what was my business, what is now my business, but the bridge that I had used to kind of soothe my central nervous system and finances and like as I was figuring things out was I was taking on OBM work when I left teaching. So like I quit when I knew I had at least one client
Sure.
that was going to help
Yeah.
sustain me. And
Yeah.
then a lot of my time and effort over that year after I quit teaching was in that one client and or other clients, and I was doing OBM and VA work for them and like smatterings of my stuff when I could fit it in. And
Right.
so at the start of last summer I was kind of starting to hit this point where it wasn't aligning anymore. It just felt like work. Like I was
Right.
just working.
It
So
wasn't,
why?
yeah.
And yeah, so that's about where I was when I met you in person at the retreat.
Yeah. So we met in person, and then really shortly right after the retreat, I was running
Yep.
the second year. So it was my second cohort of my signature program, Permission to Be.
Yep.
And you jumped into
Yep.
that. And that's
And so I
really where we
jumped
kicked
into
off our
that.
work. Yeah.
And it was, and I remember we had like a, I don't know, like a little intake discovery call or something, and I still
Yes.
remember it. I was sitting in my bed, and I remember one of the
Me
questions you
too.
asked me, you were like, "So is this where you normally do your work?" And I was like, I never even thought of such a question. Like, I just do my work wherever I am. Like, yeah, so I'm sitting in my bed right now with my heating pad, and that's where I'm working.
Mhm.
And we talked, and after that, I think you recognized that I needed a little bit more. And so I kind of took on this hybrid
Right.
offering with you where I was doing one-on-one coaching while also being in the permission to be. And I think that that was a really beautiful place for me to be because um, I could be in the group and get the support from the other women and do the playful prompts and like be reminded that there were many other people like me that were caregivers, moms, you know, always doing all the things while trying to build out a business and like losing a sense of self and play while also really wanting to figure out what was the next step in my business and like doing some hard, scary things through those couple months. And that's the work that we kind of did in the one-on-one space
Yeah.
while that was
Yeah.
happening, I think is where we were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you stepped into Permission to Be and the hybrid, so you started with Permission to Be and some one-on-one support. What is it that you were kind of looking for from getting support, being in the program? What was your hope or your why for joining?
Yeah, I think when I left the permission to play retreat, a lot of what resonated with me was this idea of like, yeah, I need to be playing more. And many of the other women there also shared, like, but I don't really know what that is for me. And I remember you a lot being like, you know, before you do something, before you transition, like, take a minute and like, do what you need. Like maybe you need to dance around or put your feet in the grass or, you know, paint. And I'm like, oh, how do you even know? Ew.
Yeah.
How do you even
Yeah.
know that you
Really?
would need to put your foot in the grass? What do you mean?
What? What
Yeah.
is this wildness this lady is discussing?
So I think it was a little bit of like, okay, I need to really figure out and like get in touch with what are the other things that bring me joy besides, you know, watching reality TV and, you know, zoning
Checking
out
out.
on Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's really like so much of what that program was built for was like that space to explore,
Yeah.
that space to discover, that space to uncover with like structure and accountability along the way, right? A
Yeah.
little bit. And like I don't want to say I feel like structure is a strong word, but like framework.
There
Yeah.
was a framework, and I
Yeah.
think for me personally, the accountability was helpful because it
Yeah.
can be really easy to not. So like knowing that maybe we were sharing a photo in the group chat of the, you know, thing. I actually remember being at this library and the prompt was something around like colors or something, and I remember using the scented markers here when I was like just here with my kids, and I like colored with the Mr. Sketch markers and like smelled one that was like literally like vomit. I think it was carrots. I don't know. They have
Oh,
some new scents now,
there's a new
but
sense, huh?
but I remember taking a picture of it and like putting it in the group, right? And so
Yeah.
that little bit of being able to be like, okay, I'm doing this, even if it was just these small things or you know a little nudge, like, hey, did everybody you know do this? If you didn't, like, do you want to try it out next week or something
Yeah.
like that? Yeah.
Sure. Sure. Okay, so you referenced a little bit like some of the transition points you're going through before going into the program, but like, can you give us a little bit more, as much as you want to share, kind of like what you were experiencing before we started working together and like how that was impacting you and your life and your
Yeah.
relationships?
Yeah. So apparently I was burnt out.
Mhm. Did you know you were burnt
I
out
had
though?
no I had no clue. I mean, I knew what I did know was that what I was doing was not sustainable.
Yes.
Like I knew whatever I had done for that year, which looked like I was home with my daughter who had just turned 3. She turned 3 in August. I was had this one main client, and I was doing like up to 15 hours a week of virtual work. And by November, my son he decided to leave kindergarten. So by November, I was home with both kids while doing up to 15 hours of virtual work and navigating homeschooling,
Hmm.
both 2 children.
Hmm.
Um, and I looked like working
Hmm.
all the time
Hmm.
because it was constant task switching, right? So maybe I'd be trying to, and the work that I was doing was kind of like a lot of higher level thinking. Like I developed an app, I was creating sales pages, I was writing, 15 email copies, I was doing funnels, I was doing a lot of things that were still new to me, but they were working parts of my brain and I really liked it, and I had a 3 and 5 year old that needed me. And so it was constant, like I was getting into a flow for like 2 minutes and then doing something else. And so I slowly realized that's what was not sustainable, right? This idea that I had no boundaries for myself or my children. There was no rhythm or routine of when I was and wasn't working. And I remember saying a lot to my friends or family, like, this is working for right now because it's the money, it's allowing me to be home with the kids, and it's not sustainable. And so what was slowly starting to happen as well was then the work wasn't filling me up anymore. So the
Sure.
work that I was doing, the work with that client wasn't working. And so now it was this like, I want to do more of my business. I was trying to put things out. I was seeing moments of like, this is something I want to do. And I don't know how to do it. And like, how am I going to make money? And even if I just shift into working for my business, I still couldn't really wrap my head around what this was going to look like while also being home with my kids 24/7.
You couldn't see the way.
No. And so, I was asking sporadically my mom for help. My husband and I were like really struggling
Hmm.
because I was just like not available. I was not accessible at all.
Hmm.
And also constantly like, I need more. He's like,
Right.
how much more can I give you? And I'm like, I don't know, but like, I need something. And he kept being like, well, then you need to leave the house. And I'm like, no, I can't leave the house. Like, I have to work here. So there was a lot of stress. There was a lot of, I felt like I was there for the kids, but the kids commented a lot about me always working, always being on my computer.
Sure. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
So
so
I just want to pop back to one thing real quick that you said, because and there's people probably listening, you who hear you say, oh, I was working 15 hours a week and then with my kids, and they're like, man, 15 hours a week, I would kill for that, right? Like, because I know your story and I know that before that you were putting in like 50, 60, 70-hour weeks
yeah,
teaching, right? And I work with a lot of educators, you work with a lot of educators, you are an educator. The difference is, and I think the important piece here, and this is what we worked on a bit, was the type of work you were doing and how it was using your brain was, yes, great, because it met a need in this interim for you that you needed strategically, but it was also exhausting
yeah,
you, right? 15 hours a week of just running through checklists is very different than 15 hours a week holding all the space while having 2 little ones pull, and so
yeah.
we had to create some boundaries there.
Absolutely. And the reality is, right, like I had to track it because it was for other clients. And that was like the bare minimum because, as I said, I
Sure.
was taking on other clients, and
Sure.
some clients it would
A
just
bit
be
more.
a 3 week project. And so there were no hours. It was just like you're working on this project until it's done. Right. And sometimes it was 15 hours, but it was 15 hours in 2 days because there was, it was Monday and something was launching on Wednesday, or
Right.
and I went over, or it was I was doing 15 hours for that main client, but I was also launching my other thing while being on Instagram and trying to grow my own business, right? So and the majority of that was happening from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Because in reality, let's say I got up with the kids in the morning and while they were drinking, and they maybe sent an email, and that was 20 minutes to an hour. But the majority, my daughter does not go down easy. And the majority of my work was spent on my laptop on the floor outside of her bedroom door while she held
Mm,
my hand
mm,
until she fell asleep. And then I would go into my bed. And this is where it impacted, my husband's and I relationship. It was, 11 o'clock. And I'm like, no, I'm working. And I was working
not on the
until
laptop
one
and
or
then
two in the
yeah,
morning. Yeah.
working. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so you get in permission to
Yep.
be, which is all around in my method, it's all around self,
Yep.
right? Reconnecting with ourself, discovering ourself. It's the first phase of like my framework that I take clients through. But you also did the hybrid kind of one-on-one, which got us into some of the other phases of the framework a little quicker. What was one of your first like big wins or breakthrough moments? You've kind of shared a couple little pieces, but what stands out to you is like your first big like whoa.
Um, I mean, I think there's two.
Okay.
One was when it was August, and so Permission to Be was kind of wrapping up,
Yep.
and I had officially stepped down from working with the client that I was working with,
Yep.
and I worked with you personally to strategically really hard make a lot of discovery calls, offers, and things. And that month, I got hired by two people to do virtual trainings.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to do in person trainings, sorry. And I also got taken on to do some work for a client for their launch. And I got to do it on my terms.
Mm-hmm.
And I priced it in a way that felt right. And I remember for whatever reason it had happened, I was alone on a Friday night, and I was just remember sitting there kind of processing, and I was doing a little like release ceremony you invited me to try, and
Yeah.
I bought myself a small bottle of champagne, and I remember just sitting there and celebrating like this is something, this can be something with my own business. I can let this go. That was my first aha, was when I was like made money that wasn't tied to the OBM work.
Mm.
And then it was when I fully committed to having work blocks for myself.
Mm.
Yeah,
That was big for
that
you.
was huge.
That was really big. And that was right at the end, tail end of Permission to Be also, I think, probably.
It was either at the tail end of that or at the very start of the mastermind, because I
Yes,
then
and you
joined you
moved
for the
into the
mastermind.
mastermind after that. Always launch in the
Yep.
fall, right after
I think I
Permission
did
to
a
Be.
little audit and I was
Yes.
like, this is where this is the next thing. Not
Yes, I do remember.
working at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so like, we're still working together. We work together one-on-one now, right? So
Mhm.
we've been together almost a
I
year.
know.
That's wild.
Yep.
What sort of changes have you seen from our work together that you would kind of attribute to that starting point with Permission to Be?
Everything.
I mean, thank you. And
I mean, no, but really, I mean, I let go of the work that I didn't like doing anymore, and I fully, as of like January, stopped taking any OBM work and don't even actively put any effort into seeking it out. And that was just like a huge write off. But even before that, I remember sometime in the summer, like just starting to actually vision out what my business would be, because I never really knew, like I knew
yeah.
but I didn't really know. I didn't have like a plan. I didn't know where I was going to go. I was just trying to like throw things at the wall. So I think figuring out what my business is, standing in my power of it, putting in some really intentional blocks for me while also like letting go at home, right? So that's like I used to say to my husband. He's like, you can like I don't work on Mondays, so go out of the house and work. But I like, and it's still hard. Like it's still hard for me to leave because I'm like, well, but make sure and like I have to step away.
Yeah.
Um, and then also just like leaning into what work is, right? And productivity, and detaching from, my productivity tying to my worth and my revenue or income tying to the success of my business, and reworking and constantly reworking those mindsets that are so ingrained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what would you say is like your biggest transformation or takeaway from your time and permission to be?
So from that, I realized or re-remembered that I love music, listening to music,
Mm.
and painting. And so I've been painting a lot again over the last however many months, 9 months, and like listening to the music that I like again, not just what my kids ask for.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
has that done for you? Like prioritizing those things?
Yeah, it feels nice. It's just like, oh, I'm a person besides a mom and a business owner and a
Yeah.
wife and a thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have a successful business and you're raising
Yep.
brilliant kids.
Yes.
You're you
Yeah.
first. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. Anything else that you want to share about your time in the program or advice you would give to anyone considering joining? Because I think it's hard for all of us who are high achievers, go-getters, doing the things, right? We've all been conditioned to chase the next
Mm.
thing and we all miss us. And as you know, so much of the work I do starts with us first so that then we can get that thing, whatever that is, get clarity on it, go after it in a way that, and you've used this word a lot today, is sustainable
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that's really hard for people who are caught in that burnout loop, survival mode loop, who may not recognize
Mm-hmm.
it, kind of where you were.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there any advice that you would give to someone that's kind of in that position? Why permission to be might be a great, not might be, like would be a brilliant place for them to get that.
Yeah. I think if nothing else, it's going to give you a little bit of community. And that's what so many of us, especially like entrepreneurs and people that are kind of working virtually, need. And so a lot of the women that join Permission to Be are people that I text in my life now
Mm-hmm.
and have relationships with. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think if nothing else, it's an entry point into finding a little bit of community, being reminded that you're not the only one going through all these things, and that it is in fact so very common, and it doesn't have to be like this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't have to. I love that. Love that. Thank you, Laura, for chatting with me today about all things permission to be in your experience.
Hmm.
Don't worry, I'm going to harass you to get on the podcast soon, and we'll do a longer, more in-depth talk about all the
Sounds
things.
good. I'd
But this felt
love
like
to.
a good
Yeah.
start for us because I adore you and love seeing your face.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it's really been a journey, but it was definitely the right way to like put my toes into the water,
Mm.
to just kind of open my eyes to what was not
Yeah.
working and what could start working.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think that's a great point. Like it's that outside set of view that sees things that when we have our blinders on, we can't see ourselves.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And not just coming from you, right? Coming
No.
from other
Yeah,
women
that's it's
that are like,
intentionally, yes,
yeah,
crafted
that
as a
mirror back to
community.
you. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love that. I
yeah.
love that. Thank you so
Thanks for
much.
having me.
Enjoy the rest of your
Yes,
Monday.
I'm off to get to work now.
Love it.
All right.
What fun thing do you have planned in your workday today? Because
Um,
I know it's not just a to-do list.
No, I'm excited to write my email today, actually, because I
Oh,
did a training this weekend. Actually, I'm excited to follow up with some of the people that attended my training. Um, yeah,
I
just
love that.
make some more
Love it.
connections. So, yeah,
Love it.
yeah.
Thank you, Laura.
All right, chat
Talk
later.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.